Hello and welcome to 8-5. Today we're going to be talking about least common multiple. So first off, we better understand what do those words mean. Least, we know that's smallest. Common, that they share. Multiple, my little words that I use are count by. Okay, whenever I think multiple, I think, okay, I need to count by that number. So let's read the definitions of these words. A multiple of a number is the product, it means multiplying, of the number and any other whole number. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Multiples that are shared by two or more numbers are common multiples. And the least common multiple is the least multiple other than 0. That's very important. 0 cannot be a least common multiple, which really it wouldn't be because you can't multiply something by 0 to get 7 common sets of multiples. So that was very confusing. Don't get confused by this. Just remember this. Least, smallest, common, numbers that they share, factors. Let's remember that. Factors that they share, and a multiple means count by. Okay, when we're doing greatest common factors, we listed the factors, found the greatest one, that was it. Okay, so this is kind of the same thing, except for we're doing multiples instead of factors. So let's get started. Example 1. Tom hits golf balls at the driving range every 3 days. Practices putting every 4 days and goes golfing every 6 days. If he did all 3 activities today, in how many days would he do all 3 activities again? So it's really good to read this to know when would I use least common multiple. So our strategy we're going to use is to find and circle LCM of 3, 4, and 6 by listing non-zero multiples of each number. Okay, so multiples. I'm counting by 3s. So I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. I might need to go up higher, but we're going to stop at 30 for now. 4, my multiples are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. All right, and 6. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and 60. Okay, so here are all the multiples of 3, 4, 6. Not all, just the first 10 of each one. So let's see, what is the least smallest number that they share? So if I'm looking through here, 3, no, 6, no, 9, no, 12. Oh, look at that. Right here, we can find the smallest common multiple, or the least common multiple they share. So they will complete all 3 activities again in 12 days. Let's see, the number line shows on which day all 3 activities will be completed. So on day 0, we're going to do golf, putting, what does G? Is that golf? Putting and driving range. And then you can notice driving range is every 3 days. Putting is every 4 days. And then going golfing is every 6 days. So they will end up again, all happening on day 12. So finding the least common multiple doesn't always have to be listing that many multiples. So let's look at a different way to do it. Of course, our friend prime factorization, it helped us with greatest common factor and can also help us with least common multiple. So let's prime factorize 15. 15 is 3 and 5. 40 can do 4 and 10. 4 can break into 2 times 2. And 10 can break into 2 and 5. Okay, prime factorizing, we're good to go there. So now we're going to find the common prime factors. Okay, so if I'm looking at my prime factors here, 15 is 3 and 5. 40 is 2, 2, 2, and 5. So what prime factors do they have in common? Only 5. 5 is the only number they have in common here. So to find the product of the prime factors, using each common prime factor only once and any remaining factors, we would multiply together 3, 2, 2, 2, and because they share 5, we're only going to write 1 down. And so I need to multiply all those together to get my least common multiple. So let me say that one more time. That was a little confusing. So to find the least common multiple, if they share a factor, I only write it down once. Notice how they share a 5, so I'm not going to write down 2 5s, I'm only going to write down 1. They do not share a 3, so I need to write it down. They do not share a 2, write it down, 2, write it down, 2, write it down. And they share a 5 as a factor, so I'm only going to write 1. Okay, if they had shared a 2, I would only write down 1, 2, not 2 of them. Okay, so if I multiply this out, I would get 6 here, 4 and 5. 4 times 5 makes 20. So if I do 6 times 20, 6 and 2 makes a 12. Add my 0, 120. Yikes! So that's where they intersect each other. That's a common multiple that they share. Now this is very helpful for finding common denominators. Okay, then you're not always sitting there like, okay, well, I guess I need to multiply 15 and 40 together to figure out a common denominator or a common multiple of them. This is just a way that we can find it, get common denominators, and add or subtract or whatever we're trying to do with our fractions. But all right, let's do some more examples here. Find the LCM of each set of numbers by first listing non-zero multiples of each number. Okay, so I'm going to do counting by 6s. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and so on. Let's see if we can get, well, I already know what it's going to be, 30, because if I'm counting by 10, 20, 30, they overlap, so I know that 30 is my least common multiple when I'm looking at 6 and 10. So that's kind of a little trick that I like to do, is go farther on the top one, on the first one, and then whenever you find one that matches on the bottom one, you know that's your least common multiple. So I'll show you what I mean here. So 3, I'm going to count by 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, wait, I know they're going to share 12, so let's count by 4s, 8, 12, okay, least common multiple is 12. So here's a question here. Could the LCM of the two numbers be one of the numbers? So let's think about that. Like, what if I wanted to find the least common multiple of 6 and 12? So if I count by 6s, 6, 12. And if I count by 12s, 12. So could the least common multiple be one of the numbers? Yeah, could. So we have that. Let's go to the next. I have a couple more examples here. Okay, so find the LCM of each set of numbers. For this first one, I think listing is going to be pretty easy. So if I find multiples of 7, I do 7, 14, and this is an example just like we just talked about. Multiples of 14, look at that, 14 is our LCM. All right, 6 and 15, let's do prime factorization for that. Prime factorized 6 is 3 and 2. Prime factorization of 15 is 3 and 5. Okay, so I'm noticing they both share a 3. So I'm going to write only one 3 down because they share it. So I only need to write 1. Now I'm going to bring down my 2 and bring down my 5. So 3 times 2 is 6 times 5, and that would get me 30. So my LCM of this case is 30. Okay, 5, 9, and 15, I'm going to prime factorize that. 5 is prime. 9 is 3 and 3. 15 is 3 and 5. All right, so if we do this here, you can notice we share 2 5s, so I'm going to bring a 5 down. Notice they don't all have to share. Okay, so this one has a 3 and this one has a 3. So I just write 1 down, and then there's an extra 3, so I have to write that one down. Okay, so I'm going to go here. 5 and 3 is 15. 15 times 3 is 45. So let me repeat that again. So this one is 5, and this has a 5. So I wrote 1 5 down. Okay, these share a 3 and this shares a 3, so I write 1 3 down. Could I cancel out 2 3s from the 9? No, I'm looking at the 3 different numbers, 5, 9, and 15. So if 9 and 15 or 9 and 5 share something in common, then it has to be that way. I cannot say, oh, 9 has 2 3s, write down 1 3. Does not work that way. Okay, so then I had an extra 3 here that cannot cross out with anybody, right? And so I had to bring that 3 down here. So I could not say that, oh, here's a 3, here's a 3, and here's a 3. I'm just going to cross them all out and write one down. We're looking at factors of each number. So these are like different little islands here. Okay, so I cannot take from the same island. So I would have to take 1 3 here and 1 3 here, bring it down. 1 5 from this island, 1 5 from this island, bring it down, and there's an extra 3 on 9's island, and so I bring it down. Then when I multiply it all together, I can find that my least common multiple is 45. All right, so I did a couple extra problems for this video, just so you'd have some more examples to look at and hopefully understand better. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any problem on the homework.